very good interview by Diane Sawyer on ABC. Where is she, and what does this book do, if anything, other than make a lot of money?
Man, I think, to me, it has been amazing. I don't think she's handled things well at all this week. I think,
so she's rusty as a politician?
I thought, very, very rusty. Mark used a phrase earlier this week. He said he thought the book was tone deaf. I thought the book was mush, and the interview was tone deaf. And I think that's probably true. I'm not through the whole book yet, but I think those are both accurate. And frankly, although I think Diane did a very nice job, you could imagine her asking some very, very tough follow-up questions. And I don't know what Hillary Clinton would have said if she was asked detailed questions about, well, how many houses do you have? Did you have? And why did you exactly, if you were so broke, why exactly did you buy a house just right across the street from the British Embassy and one in Westchester County? You could have imagined a series of and again, I'm not being critical of Diane, but given the way Hillary Clinton handled the
she
tough...
left a step open for other questions.
Oh, my God. And in that moment, had she been hit with the hardest questions you can imagine, with a bulldog-ish set of questions, I don't know what she would have done.
Was the hardest question the number of houses she owns?
Well, in that moment, there was a series of follow-ups. You could have imagined that, given that she'd set herself up that way, she'd opened the door to it. I don't know how she would have handled that.
Based on what happened this week, does it suggest to you that she's going to have a harder road to the presidency if she chooses to run, not to the nomination?
There are two things that happened with the release of the book that make me think she will have a harder road, although, again, she is formidable and there is no one close to being as likely to be the next president as she is. One is she was rusty. To handle the wealth question the way she did, I just thought just did not show a lot of deftness, a lot of finesse. The other thing is, I don't understand writing a book of that length without a message. If she wants if she wants to win and govern, it seemed to me that was one of the biggest opportunities she will have between now and facing the voters to say, here's what America's about right now. Here's what I think, and here's what I'd fight for.
Why do you think she didn't do
it? And to go to the narrative question, right. She people have been saying for several months well, what's Hillary Clinton's message? And I've kept saying, every time I'm answered, I always say, well, she's not a candidate for anything yet. She doesn't need to have a message, and she's fought for things over the course of her career. At some point, she'll need to have a message. Well, here's a book, many hundreds of pages long,
600 plus,
that talks mostly about her time as Secretary of State, but was an opportunity for her to say, here's what my life in public service adds up to,
exactly.
And here's how that history leads to make me the right woman to lead America at this moment, its challenges, what I've learned, how my governing philosophy applies to this moment in American history. It does none of those things, that's the story you need to tell. And you remember back in the spring of 2008 when she became a really good candidate. When the race was in spring of 2008,
right.
when the race was effectively lost. And I remember Harold Ickes, one of her great aides, said to me that it reminded him of Ted Kennedy in 1980, that Ted Kennedy was a terrible candidate until the race was over. And when he knew, once it was clear that Carter was going to win in 1980,
less careful.
Suddenly Kennedy was unshackled, and Kennedy became the Kennedy that people thought he was going to be.
And the Kennedy that he became.
And Harold Ickes said this is what happened with Hillary. It was almost as if that it was, once the door was closed and the math was such that she could not win, she suddenly became free, and she became an amazingly good candidate in those final months when really the race was effectively mathematically over.
Philadelphia was a turning point.
Somehow that's been, at least at this moment, looking at it, that unshackledness is not present in what we see in this book and in its presentation. What we see is back to the excessive caution, the calculation, the kind of timidity, the walking on eggshells. For her to win, she cannot forget the lessons of the spring of 2008.
I'll tell you the other thing that I don't think was in evidence this week, which is we all know, because we've had the privilege of getting to spend some time with her over the years, she's very likable. She's got a personality in private that she, like Mitt Romney and Al Gore, had trouble displaying in the context of a public persona. And I'm not saying she was unlikable this week, but I didn't see a lot of moments that would lead people to think anew about her or to feel, this is a person I want in my living room, clearly I want her back because she's great. And I think, again, she's rusty, but it's somewhat a product of cautiousness. She doesn't want to make mistakes. She doesn't want to send things in the wrong direction, so she doesn't let it all hang out.
Doesn't fully trust her political instincts.
It's easy to say this from an oak table here in New York City, but the interesting thing to me about politics is, first of all, people want straight shoot. They want candor. Yep. They want bold leadership. They want to know, there's a real strong sense that you know who you are and you know where you want to go, and when you get there, you know what to do.
Exactly, and that you're calculating and cautious, and the Clinton
constantly holding a finger to the wind,
the Clintons have both